How to do that? You're on what? Facebook or are you on
Facebook.
like LinkedIn?
Facebook. We go live off of Facebook.
Okay, so like where do
Consult mobile app.
hold on?
Find it, like it, share it.
Okay, hold on. Consult mobile app. Okay, and then what do I?
Hit that.
What?
Let me see it. Hello, everybody. We're just sharing right now, getting started. So it'll show up here. You like. Share. It normally doesn't do that, but. Share. There you go. All right. We're here. Real Talk with Consult. I got Christopher G. Fry in the house with me. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Nick.
I'm Nick Armato. I'm the co-host of this show, or today I'm hosting. We want to say right now we have a caveat starting the show that we are starting the show with what looks like a tropical storm here in out of our Longwood studios. It looks like it's like 9 o'clock at night. We have palm trees banging our windows, and we may lose power at any moment.
I was going to say if it shuts down, not our fault.
Yeah, we apologize out of the gate. So we're doing this. We're dry though, for the time being.
We're dry inside. Yeah, there's heavy lightning though.
Welcome to Florida.
Yeah.
WTF. Welcome to Florida, folks.
The lightning strike capital of the world. I believe Bayfront Medical Center in St. Pete is literally like the
Epicenter?
world's expert on lightning strikes.
Oh, I thought you meant like where they get struck the most.
Well, where they treat the people who are struck the most.
Yeah.
So,
The numbskulls that are out on the beach.
you know, it's kind of weird because, yeah, I guess you would be a numbskull if you're out in a lightning storm.
Yeah.
Especially by any form of water.
Sure.
I mean,
No pun intended.
yeah, correct.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's this is no place to mess with lightning, man.
No, I saw one split like a tree in half, and it had to be about 15, 20 feet in circumference, the trunk.
You actually saw it
Yeah,
hit at the time?
We were driving. I want to say it was in Citrus County.
Then
going
say
up
it.
Toward I will say it.
It's radio. Say something, stick to it. It's truth.
It was driving in Citrus County, and we were on kind of a side road, and it was just up ahead, maybe 40, 50 yards, and it was this crack of lightning, and the tree just split in half on fire.
Did you?
And it was like, whoa.
Did you convert to Catholicism soon
It was-
thereafter?
It was, I went blind.
How
and
loud was it?
It was really loud. And it was really weird because it didn't look like lightning coming down. It looked like lightning shooting out of the tree.
Wow.
And it just cracked like I mean, it was wide enough or thick enough that it didn't like fall apart, but it just split and was flaming.
Did you stay there and watch it?
No, we drove past, although obviously there was a fear that it was going to fall into the road. But,
Right.
As you're traveling along, it's just whack.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was loud. It's almost hard to. It's almost like one of those comic books, like thwack. Like
But
THWAK.
You felt it though, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it was like whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, like your arm, the hair on your arms stood up, and it was like
Yeah. Memorable.
scary.
Yeah. And you don't
Yeah.
pay attention to anything.
Right. So it was pretty.
When I was a kid in Chicago, I lived in the inner city, and a smokestack was hit by lightning, and it exploded into the alley.
Oh.
And literally, it was like a 30 or 40 foot stack, and
Which
it was
is
just
like-
blown into the alley. It was like hit, and then it fell this way, and you could
Breaks
just see
apart.
there was you could pretty much tell a lot of the bricks that fell stayed intact, but where the actual strike was, you could see there was just like obliterated things, and we lived about 5 houses down, and I was like on the back porch
Right.
and heard it, and the rain happened, and then later around we had heard all the sirens and went there, and you could see the there was the debris in the alley, which was really crazy.
Hopefully there's nobody under the debris.
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we would have heard about it.
It's
yeah.
nature. It's nature.
Listen, I've been out on a boat and I've been out on a bike ride when I've been caught in something like this on a bicycle about a mile from my house. And
it comes
after
down
like a 20-mile ride, and you want to talk about something to motivate you at the end.
Oh yeah.
Well,
and a lot of people who are not from Florida or who've not been to Florida, they may hear about Florida weather, but when you experience it, it's just, after a while you kind of get acclimated to it. But, when you first see it, it's literally like you'll be driving down the expressway and a half mile up, it looks like this sheet, almost like a shower curtain.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get a few droplets on your window, and the next thing you know, everyone's going 15 miles an hour.
Right.
And it's like this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, half mile, 2 miles down the road, it's dry.
Or you'll get those heavy rollers coming in, right, where it's dark, and you get those flat bottom clouds coming in, and they're black.
And then they just unload.
And then it's just like the breeze. You could smell rain. You could smell it coming, right?
Yeah.
And the leaves turn over.
I always tornadoes. We get tornadoes down
I'll take
here.
a hurricane over a tornado any day of the week.
Yeah, and when you see or hear about the tornado, I don't know if it'd be called tornado strikes or what they'd be called, but
touchdowns,
or when they're forming,
oh yeah,
it's actually kind of cool to watch out, like in the Gulf or the Atlantic or in the water, because you
the
can
water
actually
spouts.
see the water
Seen it.
spouts forming and getting thicker, and then they start moving.
Yeah,
but
ominous.
Yeah, and there always seems to be like this, almost like a dark greenish tint in the air right before a tornado.
Yeah, I heard that if you've ever been around a tornado, it sounds like a train is coming, or a train. I think it's a train engine, I believe.
Yes.
And I and everybody says the same thing, but I would take a hurricane. A hurricane, you got days to prepare, right? You can get, if you don't want to be here, you can get the hell out. A tornado, man.
They just whip up.
Yeah, like one in the land last week, touchdown. A couple
that's
days
right,
ago.
yeah.
I think they said a Category 2 or F2 or whatever, however they rate them.
Right.
There was some damage, man. It's scary. Scary.
Yep. I know some people who, were, from the Kansas area. Friend of mine played at Wichita
Dorothy?
State, I think. Yeah, and he said they would literally they just pop up, and you'd be like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
Everyone
find
would
a
just
ditch.
just find shelter, because those things will just rip everything apart.
Yeah, man. It's I feel sorry for any
Oh yeah, I wouldn't.
Anybody
wish
that's
that
been
on
through one of those,
anybody.
man, it's tragic. But let's get into it. We're going to talk about the Consult mobile app today. We're going to talk about the Quick Tool in a little more depth, specifically the calendaring function of the Quick Tool.
Yes.
Because Chris and I have been messing around on that all day. We've been talking about having to write these tutorial scripts so that when we have an onboarding, or if a client has a question, we can turn them on to the scripts, and they could learn really in depth how to use said tool
And quickly, so we go through the pain so you don't have to.
Yeah, well,
it's like what, 8-10 hours of going through these things and going to
hit this button.
hit
Wait,
this button.
go back. What does it look like? How would you describe that?
Right, exactly. And then by the time you're done writing and rewriting the script, and you finally got it down to basically a 2-page or so.
Well, I don't think the calendar
three
script
page.
is going to be 2 pages.
Yeah, probably 3.
Yeah, maybe 4.
Yeah. And so what are they? They're averaging maybe like a minute to a minute and a half per page on audio when we
I would say so.
tracks.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say
So-
probably. Yeah, I would think that's realistic.
Yeah. So
Do you
but-
like a particular function of the calendar?
I do.
First of all,
The-
let me interrupt you since I asked you a question. Let me interrupt.
Sure.
The speed again
Yes.
today that we were, how cross platforms,
Yes.
right? And the speed
It's amazing.
when we say it automatically is cross platformed, it's for real.
Correct.
There is no arguing about that. I mean, it is. I dare say instantaneous.
I would agree with instantaneous. Literally, like as soon as you click the button,
You hear
You
my
know,
phone ding.
Because once again, we'll be sitting at the desk. I'll have my phone on.
Yeah, for those of
with the
you,
attorney
yeah.
version.
So Chris is an attorney, so he's logged on as a firm, and I am a client. And so when we do these tests and we're writing these scripts, we go through the functions literally button by button by button. What happens on your end? What happens on my end? What you can expect? What you'll see, the alerts, and so on and so forth. And literally, as soon as he hits the button to hit send or the completion of the message, I have the alert.
It's up on my computer.
It goes.
It's onto my
Yeah,
phone.
because we have the computer open, we have his phone open, and we have my phone there or my laptop there. Just to test everything. And it really is instantaneous. I'm. Yeah, I'm really speechless.
Yeah, it is.
To be
It's
quite
like
honest with you.
You're floored. It's like, because when I hit the button to delete something, for example, by the time I look up to see your phone, it's already gone.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like, did it do anything?
Yeah.
And you're like, it just disappeared.
It just goes away.
And when you add something, it's there. And then you push on it or click on it, press on it, whatever you want to call it. Say it's a document, and let's say it's a multi-page document. It pulls right up. There's no pages missing. It's not blurry. There's no, what are that? It looks like the font's stretching, you know, and sometimes like when you run it through a scanner or something.
And we can appreciate font with what we've been working on recently.
Yeah, we've been experimenting with many fonts and bold it.
So, that being said, what's your favorite part of the calendar?
I think the fact that the cross-platform, that as soon as a user, because it could be someone else in your firm calendaring something for you, and as soon as they hit enter and get the complete fields, if you will, filled out, it's immediately on your phone, like instantaneously, as well as your computer, and then as well as the client's device, whatever they may be at their computer or on their cell phone, and they get the audible alert from their phone, like a little ding, and then the prompt that says your attorney has just uploaded an update to your calendar.
You have a note.
Yeah, and then you go in, you click into your calendar, you press it, and it's noted there. And
with your specific message. You can put you title the message or the date or the calendar subject. I should say you have a subject title. You have a field for, and actually it's a relatively large field.
Yes.
So you can get really descriptive in terms of if you were. I for one in my calendar write just little briefs.
Right.
But we were put a big area there, so if you wanted to make a substantial note, you could.
Sure. Like, for example, if you have a hearing coming up, you might want to put notes, like don't forget to bring, a document for a client to sign or what have you. And those notes appear in your calendar, not necessarily on the date, but when you click on it and it'll show a vertical list below the actual visible calendar that lists all the tasks that are scheduled that day. And when you click on that, it opens a field that contains all of your notes.
Color coded.
So you can, you can
prioritize.
You can basically, you can prioritize and you can assign whatever color, I think probably the standard would be red means, it's of paramount importance, blue, next, and maybe green, or however you want to.
If I was getting paid in any of those transactions, they'd have to be in green.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
you're a green guy
for money. Green for money.
Ah, well, true. Yeah, you could do that if it's a fee that's due or something on a particular day. You hit it in green.
Yeah,
and if it's usually if it's like a trial or some really important hearing, you'll put it in red. And then for general, information, basic, whether it's an arraignment or whatever you want to call it.
Sure. Yeah, you can arrange it however you want.
Client appointments, yeah. And that's the nice thing about it is that you can choose to
Yeah.
designate whatever color you want to make it,
Yeah.
prioritized.
Whatever time zone you want to put it in.
Whatever time zone. And then you can also, there's an auto repeat function that goes everywhere from never repeat to like repeat once a month or every 5 minutes or 5 minutes prior to the notification. So it gives alerts. Then you can set up second alerts. Then you can set up repetitive alerts, and you can also take the same calendaring or scheduling item and automatically, put it, say, like if you have I don't know, let's say you belong to a bar association or something, and they meet every Wednesday morning at 7, and you create a note in your file, and it says 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock or whatever it is, bar association meeting. You could just go in and click on repeat, and then put every week at the same time, and it automatically fills it in for the rest of the year, and you don't
Until
have to
you tell
worry
it to
about
stop.
Till you tell it to stop. So yeah, it's very comprehensive. Again, every function, not pretty much every function on the platform, because we've always referred to it as the mobile app, but really, since it's cross-platform, it's the mobile app plus the website.
Right.
Because they work in conjunction with each other, and no matter where you're inputting the data from, it's reflected in the other device.
Right.
And more importantly, on your client
Right.
or another user's device.
Right. Yeah, and like we've preached about the speed and being impressed with the speed of it. It really is simultaneously. It is
Yeah, the benchmark speeds are amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's to know it's going to happen, and then you see it, and you're still, you and I always giggle like, look how quick that is.
It's
we're
like,
it's just I feel I
damn,
kind of
it's
feel like a bozo talking about it like that, but I really do feel that way. You know, it's like your child, like, man, my kid really runs the 50. Although I wouldn't say that, not my child,
right?
In reality.
But yeah, I mean, the speeds are incredible. Like I said, they're very comprehensive in the different options you have to fill out for what you want in
I find
the calendar entry.
to be very pragmatic.
Yes.
Which I think, it seems to be a theme that we've talked about with every function of the app.
Well, and it's great to be pragmatic because, let's face it, in the legal profession, you live by your watch. I mean, everything is scheduled. I mean, you're constantly, looking at your schedule, checking it, all the time. And it may change, like you may look at it at 11 o'clock and then you go to court and then you get out of court and there's three things that are scheduled, either a client meeting or someone needs to come in and sign a document or just wants a telephone conversation. And you can do them by video now instead of telephonically. And we found in doing our testing that you can get much more information across to another much quickly and more comprehensively through a video than talking over a telephone, and definitely better than like text messaging or emailing.
Well, I think with doing that, right, it's more it's uninterrupted, right? When you're sending that message, you have a chance to speak.
Yep.
I think that you can also tell. One of the I find the advantage of looking somebody in the face is what you don't get when you're speaking on the telephone, is that you see whether or not they're paying attention.
Yes.
When you are speaking to somebody and if you see that they're drifting off, you're like, this.
Sure. I mean,
this
someone could be
person's not
fixing their
listening.
motorcycle while they're talking
Sure.
to you, and they're not really
Yeah.
gathering what you're saying. And then, 2 weeks later, it's like, well, you never told me that. And it's like,
Yeah, or surfing the computer or doing, and everybody's like, oh, I'm great. I'm multitasking. And then you're like, well, we talked about this the
Multitasking is
other
not
day.
good.
Yeah, we talked
a
about
good
this
thing.
the other day. And, you don't remember talking about this? It's like, okay, whatever.
yeah, because when you're multitasking, you're not focusing on any particular thing.
You're not present. You're not fully present.
You're scattered.
Yeah. And if you're on a video consultation with somebody, you can tell that they're listening and they're paying attention to
Right.
you.
And not only that, but from the client's perspective with the attorney too, because you've got, 100 things going on at once and you're trying to focus and sign things and people are dropping things at your desk.
Sure.
And you're trying to, locate things on your computer, and then phone calls ringing, and so it's it's tough to kind of compartmentalize everything.
Sure.
So with a video consultation, particularly if you can do it by your phone, or if you're in the privacy of your car, or wherever you may be standing,
Right.
and find a little private spot, you can do that consultation exactly the same as if you were sitting at your desk,
Right.
talking to a client.
Getting back to the calendaring, while you're on a call, you can actually access the calendar as well.
Yeah, that's really cool with the quick toolbar, is that when you're on the video call, the person you're calling obviously appears on the larger screen, and then you have the mini screen with yourself on it. But during the conversation and while you're discussing things, rather than say like telephonically, we'll use, where they're looking at, say, a document, let's say it's a 10-page document, and they're looking on page 6 and whatever they're calling paragraph 3, and like the second line of paragraph 3, and they're trying to describe to you what it is they have an issue or a question about, and you're trying to envision it in your mind, but you don't have it in front of you because you may be in your car or wherever it is when you have the discussion. And with this, you're on a video call, so you're making the eye-to-eye contact. You're talking face to face, and you could just hit that quick tool, go to documents, find the document they're talking about, scroll up and find exactly what they're talking about, and then there's no question you're reading the same thing.
Right.
And
you just say, hey, what paragraph?
Right.
What page? What paragraph?
And it's with you. Let's face it, like we talk about all
And you
the
don't
time.
lose you don't lose contact in the video. They still see you.
Right. They still see you
that's
when
really cool.
you can pull up the video or the document, and then when they pull up the document, you can still see them. So it still keeps the flow of the communication going, but now you can specifically reference certain things in those documents, or even a note or a task that was assigned.
Right.
Or
put a calendar. You're talking to somebody, say, hey, what's your availability?
Right.
You scroll. You hit the calendar, you put them in the calendar. You're like, is that good for you? It's good for me. Are you good? You can look at your calendar, right? Do I have anything that's conflicting with that time? Boom, you put it in there. They automatically get the update, and it's fantastic,
and it's done, and you don't have to say, well, listen, call my...
Well, you can also say this, right? You're on that call, you schedule the appointment, right?
Right.
For the face-to-face. You put that in there, right? Then all of a sudden you're like, look, I'm going to send you a list of what you need to bring that day. You go into tasks, right? You give them the list of tasks, and you're like, look, when you get, you have these, put them in a file folder. When you have them in the file folder, or you want to scan them, get them to me, then the task is complete. It's it. It's
just hit a little checkbox. It sends the attorney
not,
the alert.
Not when I get off the call, I'm going to email you.
Right.
And then
Or, hey, listen, don't forget, call my assistant and have her put that on my calendar and tell her that we discussed the time.
Yeah.
And then there may be a miscommunication, and then your assistant's calling you or emailing you or whatever it may be and saying, hey, so-and-so called and said you said to set an appointment.
Yep.
And, so it just...
We talked about eliminating
redundancy and time
in your
saving.
day, right?
Right.
In your tasks. Do it once, get it over with, get it off your plate, get it out of your way,
Yep.
I mean, think about the things that you forget when you think like, oh, when I hang, you say you're going to do it, you write the note, on your pad, then you get back into the conversation, then you hang up, your phone rings, you take another call. If you don't look at the pad, you're done.
Right.
Get it done while you're on the call. It's good to go. I mean, it's like one of those things where, every little step counts.
Right.
Every little step.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Because it adds up.
We hear the fire engine.
Well, the rain seems to have stopped, but that's usually when people start speeding up and
Canoeing.
And don't, you have a tendency to forget that the roads are still wet.
Craziness.
And slick, and it brings the oil up, and the fumes.
Well, actually, they say with a light rainstorm, when it drizzles, it makes the roads worse. When we have that deluge is when it actually wipes all the oil off the road, or gets most of it off the road, for whatever that's worth. So either you're going to swim or you're going to slide. Either way, welcome to Florida.
Yeah. It's not time to like go from 25 miles an hour to 55 miles an hour, and then forget that the roads are slick and it takes twice the braking distance to be safe.
Well, let's segment into this Utah scenario.
Yeah, Utah was testing, or they were contemplating the proposition that it's about time, so to speak, to allow non-attorney businesses to become engaged in I won't say operating, but at least partnering with law firms.
Yeah, well, I've showed you the articles that I've read about, they call it ALS, Alternative Law Services, that have started to be implemented. I know there was a pilot program in, I believe it was Washington, that just actually was canceled after a several-year trial. It was really lack of interest, where they could, somebody didn't have to become a paralegal and somebody didn't have to become an attorney to handle some specific functions in law in a law office, right? And they just become a specialist in something. Anyway, they got rid of it. They said it was lack of interest. Got to wonder if it was a lack of support and they just didn't want to support it either. You never know. But anyway, Utah, we had spoke on this about 5 months ago, I believe. 4 or 5 months ago, we spoke about it.
Right around
the Utah Supreme,
COVID.
March, April. The Utah Supreme Court was taking requests for, and what they're trying to do is find a way to bring the cost of law services down. So they're looking to invigorate the what you call low fee, no fee scenarios. And one of the things they said was, considering a pilot program or sandbox program where people would write in with their ideas, and they want to take a look at those ideas. One of the ideas being outside sources partnering with law firms and investment monies into the law industry, whether it be technology, services. They're focusing right now with the COVID-19 crisis, and they're saying that, we want these attorneys that they're going to be involved in it. Obviously, it's about access to justice at the lowest possible cost, right? I'll get back to that in a second. They're also looking at invigorating and stimulating, because a lot of, we know criminals down, 60%?
Right.
50, 60% right now?
Yeah, it's been down. As far as the numbers of arrests and things like that.
I saw something the other day about the number of cases in Florida, ticking up a bit, but still down probably 30%, I would say, across the board. April was down big time. May was down big time. June ticked up a little bit. July ticked up a little bit more. So we'll see. You hate to think of crime as an industry. But
not only crime, but any area of law. Some areas of law are less affected because like transactional work, they can do or continue to do in the office. I think probably the bigger concerns, I won't say I think, it's been pretty much pronounced by the American Bar Association that the two largest concerns are meeting with clients and being able to sharing documents and data, which almost necessitates meeting with the client. So that's the huge issue, which is also where the consult concept comes in, because you can do those by video, face to face, as opposed to having someone come into the office, and you don't risk somebody with COVID who doesn't know they have COVID bringing it into the office, and then the next thing you know, half your staff is sick.
Yeah.
Or a client, like an elderly client, coming in and
elder
they're
law,
scared
right?
to death.
Oh, sure.
They're scared to death, especially in Florida and some states that have high elderly populations.
Sure.
Or people with that are with immune deficiencies and illnesses and stuff, and they're they're scared to come in.
Yep. Yeah. So Utah is they've agreed to a 2-year program. They are still accepting suggestions. One of the Supreme Court justices had said that a lot of the ideas have been amazing. It'll be really interesting to see the requirements when they kind of dial this in a little bit, and how it's going to affect the citizens, the members of the state of Utah, right? The residents.
Well, I mean, if you think of it from one perspective with just the costs, okay, and if a law firm or lawyers, however they set it up, so to speak, if a company who has more financial capabilities is providing, basically the office space and the things you need in the office to operate,
brick and mortar.
Right, and you don't have that cost as the attorney, you can afford to have lower fees for, particular cases. I mean, there are some that are just inherently costly, whether it be time or complexity or expert witnesses, things like that. But